All right, hey everyone. I'm Henry Thurlow.
This is Arthel. I'm Arthel.
This is Arthel Isone. Episode 6 of the D'ART Shtajio vlog, right?
Yes. Okay.
All right. So, want to say a few things at the beginning, and that'll lead into the topic. So, last time we were talking about what like manga or different things we wanted to adapt. Right?
Oh yeah.
And then I think the time before that we were talking about like just inspirations, you know.
Yeah, things that.
Yeah. And you know, after recording those, a few things occurred to me, and I was like, why didn't I say that one, right? But not even because it was just like another little thing on the list that I liked. There's like too big. Like, how could I miss like the biggest thing, right? Like it was so big. Obviously, I got my shirt, right? I got my shirt. On. Before I talk about Spawn, though, I'll really quick just say, obviously, Dragon Ball Z, Evangelion, and Berserk for me. Those series in the 90s I watched to death, and I don't think I even said when we were talking about series that I liked. Just because to me, Berserk, like, I don't even need to say it. I just know it's at the top of my list. Berserk is just amazing, right? Yeah. But okay, to my shirt, Spawn. How that didn't occur to me, I don't even know.
That's what actually got you into animation.
I know.
Really started your whole path.
I've told this story a bunch of times. Probably so many times that it didn't occur to me to say it again last time. So before I even got really into Japanese anime, the like real cool animation that got me into animation was the Spawn HBO series from the 90s. Before that, I had seen some Japanese anime. I'm pretty sure I had seen Unico and the Island of Magic when I was like a kid, and you know, there might have been some Dragon Ball episodes on TV. I think I saw Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. Someone said this is a cartoon from Japan, right? Or not Bloodlust, the first one, the original one, and MD Geist. But I didn't really crazy get into animation until I saw Spawn. When I saw Spawn on HBO, I was like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. What is this? I wasn't even familiar with the comic. I wasn't into comics when I was in elementary school, actually. People had some, you know, Batman comics and Superman comics, but I was like, I don't know if it's for me. I love drawing. I always have a sketchbook, right? I know I want to, in the future, be an artist. Even as an elementary school student, I knew that, but how I wanted to focus it, I didn't really know. But then I saw this, Spawn, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. You know, the 6th episode, you got Billy Kincaid in the alleyway.
Spawn was really
it's all crazy violent.
even for, I remember watching that too when it first came on HBO, and I think that, because it was just different, right?
Totally.
It was kind of the Western, I mean, because there was what is that? What is the heavy metal? I think.
Yeah.
There was heavy metal. Like that,
Aeon Flux came years earlier. There was a production here and there.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a whole series, and it wasn't. And obviously, Spawn took it to the next level. Because Spawn was pretty dark.
Oh, super dark.
And it was really, and the quality of it was really good too. And the animation style was different than the Disney stuff and Warner Bros. Stuff that was out at that time. So I think a lot of people was just like, oh, what's this?
Absolutely. At that time, I had seen nothing like it. And right when it ended, I was like, then I started buying some Spawn comics, and I'm like, oh, I love Spawn and all that. But I was like, okay, where is more of this?
So you hadn't seen the Spawn comics?
No, I wasn't into comics at all. Yeah, that was total introduction. Total introduction. And then I got into the Spawn comic afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, Spawn was pretty cheap to buy, so even issues 1, 2, 3, things like that.
Well, it's interesting because I guess Spawn, I mean, Image had been out for a while, right? I mean,
Well, it was at least popular enough, obviously, to get its own series. So it was a few years in. I think the Spawn came out in like '94, the comic, and then I think like the cartoon was like '97 or '98,
which is pretty good. I mean, 3 years.
Yeah, just a few years in.
And that's like
HBO too. Like HBO's legit, you know.
Yeah. Because I remember Image, because it was called Image Works at first or something like that, right? You guys can correct me in the comments.
I'm not 100% sure about that.
Because I remember,
I don't know.
I did like Image, right? That was Wildcat. Well, actually, at that time, it was still only Mad Max. Well, yeah, Mad Max, Spawn, or Max, not Mad Max.
Oh, The Max. The Max.
I'm like the worst when it comes to
that also had an animated series, actually. But I didn't see that until years later. Yeah, I probably should have gotten into that around the same time. Well, because they were
weren't they in a group, right? It was like called Creed or something like that, right? Where it was like Max. I'm like really bad. I know it was Savage Dragon, Max, and I could have sworn it was Spawn too, but help us out in the comments.
Yeah. I know. What was the group Chapel, the Spawn villain? He was
because that's Wildcats, right? So that was I think that was Wildcats. Yeah.
Was there one Young Blood?
Young Blood, yeah. Something so there was Young Blood and Wildcats, but but like Spawn, Max,
and then I got into Top Cow comics also from there, Witchblade and Darkness and everything. But the reason to bring it back to animation, like I knew my path was animation ever since I saw this, and so. I was like, "Where's more Spawn?" Like when the first season was over, it was only 6 episodes. I'm like, "Where's more?" Sure. And then I look and okay, there's Aeon Flux over there, there's Heavy Metal over there, but like, where's more? Yeah. There is no more. But Japanese anime, like that Vampire Hunter D movie you saw, that's pretty similar. And I was like, "Well, that's true, yeah." And then from there, I started renting anime like crazy, right? And Lodos War and all that stuff. But it was really Spawn that got me into it, and so. To correctly answer last week's question, if I wanted to adapt anything, it would be Spawn. I don't, and what I want today's topic really to be about is remakes in general, because last time we touched on it, but I want it to be more. And let's start with Spawn.
Some people asked some questions about that too. Like they were like, "Can you guys get more specifics?"
So
what was it? Sorry, big game.
If we start with Spawn, so this is an interesting thing. If we could adapt it, would you want to? Because you were saying no remakes, right? And I get you. I actually do agree with that in general. But would it be a direct continuation off of the end of season 3 from 25 years ago? And I don't know how many people have seen it nowadays, to be honest. So no one knows what happened after those 3 seasons. So would you pick up immediately? This is season 4, episode 1, or do you think you would have to start over again? It's a hard question.
Yeah, well, so that's an easy question for me because I probably would choose another storyline. So, because from Out of Spawn, I like Sam and Twitch a lot, and actually because so more than fantasy and things, I think I really like drama and melodrama and like kind of that takes off that. So I like fantasy and sci-fi things, but I like it when it really kind of is played into just reality, and just kind of which is why I really like Sam and Twitch, because they're just the 2 police officers who were kind of looking into these crimes that Spawn and all the characters that are around. And so I would probably kind of.
So you're saying a Spawn spin-off series, possibly?
Like spin-off.
You would rather do that than a main Spawn series.
I just
like Spawn. If you're throwing out random.
But if I'm just like if I had the option, if it was on this table and there were like 2 pitches right now, I would definitely choose Sam and Twitch.
For me, and only Spawn nerds are going to even know remotely what I'm talking about. I would want a couple seasons, 2 or 3 seasons. This is ideal if I had my dream, right? I don't know how I would start it exactly. I don't know if you'd need to redact the old series. You could just start with him in the alley, right? And it's assumed that some of these stories and villains have already popped up, right? I think, or you could start from the beginning. So that I'm not 100% sure about, but I would want just a few seasons to get to issue 100 as quick as possible. Because for me, 100 is like an absolute amazing, almost conclusion of the whole series. So like, I would want different
stories. 100. I mean, that's like 2-3 seasons. No.
No. But that's the thing. So rather than just adapt chapter by chapter like a lot of anime does, with their manga, I would want to look at the totality of the storylines told within the first 100 and rewrite it essentially for a reasonable few seasons, right? So I don't know how much even you know the Spawn comic, but and even now for me, it's been years since I read it, but I remember the key points, which is like the real story kind of almost kicks in with those Angela side series. So he goes to heaven and meets all the angels. He falls back down to earth. That's when like his outfit is really wrecked, and now his numbers. You know how he always had the countdown next to him. His numbers are rapidly declining and about to end, and they do get to 0 really quickly after the Angela arc because it messes up his costume so bad. That sends him back to hell, and that kind of. And so I would want to choose those key moments and just show the best of the best and like get moving with the story. Issue 100 ends with, I won't spoil it, but it's like it almost works as a crazy conclusion of the whole thing. Of course, then if the series was super popular, obviously there's up to issue 300 now with Spawn, so you could always continue it, but that would be my ideal stuff. And by the way, if anyone out there is liking what we're saying, you should at Todd McFarlane or something and be like, hey, you should let this studio totally produce some Spawn animation.
We got to. Wait, did you get to meet Todd McFarlane? We went to New York, so for the Comic-Con, we had a panel there.
I saw him. He was standing right there.
Yeah, like, we didn't get out there early enough to get the tickets.
I've never one-on-one met Todd McFarlane, but I've been to a couple conventions where he's been signing, so I'd be like a few feet away, like, that's Todd McFarlane.
Although you did get a cool sign from Opena, right? From Jerome Opena, who did.
Yes.
So give a shout out to Jerome.
Yep.
He's one of the cover artists.
And he did interior for Spawn issue 300.
Yeah.
He introduced, I guess, he did the last few pages where he introduced like a samurai Spawn kind of thing, like a samurai or a ninja. And that's your friend.
Yeah, my friend. He's like this amazing. I'm like, man, how cool is that? And so I can only just look up to John.
So Spawn. Other than Spawn, there's been other remakes. So we were talking about Shigurui last time. And when I had more time to think about it, because you said I wouldn't want to restart from the beginning and redact it. And if we did get to do a Shigurui adaptation, the more I thought about it, I kind of agree with you. I wouldn't want to redact the Madhouse thing, right? I think I would just want to pick up with a season 2. I don't know how that would work. We're just throwing out like dream scenarios now. And then I think just make it work somehow, right? Like even if certain scenes weren't included in their season, like somehow you have flashbacks or somehow you rethink it and you fix it. And then that doesn't undo old stuff. Because I do like the idea of not undoing old stuff. So similarly with Spawn, I wouldn't want to actually redact that series because I love it.
That I think is, particularly like in the what do you call it, the environment that we're in right now with the remakes and things, with the Star Wars series and things.
Disney movies.
Yeah, people kind of, there's this constant debate online that, it's not canon or canon. Can you like decanonize something or whatever?
Yeah.
I do think that if you do decide to retell something or start, along, you're doing like a sequel or whatever to something that already exists, I do feel that it's important that you still have to kind of leave. You can't just erase the information that was out there. I think that's kind of disastrous right there, where you try to do that.
So I actually totally agree with you. So there's no reason for me to try to fight against that. But just to play devil's advocate, the one argument against that is, before film, everything was books and plays and stuff like that. And even now on Broadway, there can be a show with these actors and then it goes off for a couple years and they're like, hey, it's back, but this time it's a little different. So why can't you have a live action version of also a Disney movie, right? It's like, it's not really erasing the other one. It's just like, hey, we're putting on a new play of this.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that can't exist. And of course there's lots of versions of that in our lifetime, right? Like there's, the Batman and Spider-Man.
Right.
Where they just kind of, you're just going over and over and over again, And I think that if people are unfamiliar with the character, right? Or so let's say, for example, no one's ever seen the first 20 reiterations of this film or whatever, then perhaps it's necessary to then reintroduce this, or you can start from here. But like now with the internet and all this data that's out there, I think most people are, most of our viewers are pretty, informed and have seen things, and I think that it's the creators' jobs to then give them new information, right? And also like kind of, I also think that all the creators who are out there, which is an interesting challenge because everyone is creating content, and they're trying to tell a great story as the best that they can, right? Even with, for example, the Terminator series, where you have all these different versions of Terminator, and then it's like, no, that doesn't exist. Here's this. I think what would be more interesting is that it's your job now that you're gonna take the reins to connect all
I 100%
those
agree.
And make them make sense,
I 100% agree. I was playing devil's advocate for a second there, but at the end of the day, I think the most skilled person is one that even if you have to reintroduce the character, you do it in a way that doesn't redact old stuff. So there have been a couple examples, and for me, and I don't know how people out there feel about it, but like the new Blade Runner, for me that was awesome. I don't think you needed to necessarily see that first Blade Runner. They explained the character relationships as the characters were introduced in this new one.
Which is important because something should stand alone by itself, but if you do watch the original, which you always should, then it doesn't, like, it's not like, oh, wait, where is this?
So those kind of, I mean, I guess they call it soft reboot, but not too many have done it successfully. But the few that have, I think that those are the ones I like, where it's like, okay, you're introducing a new character, 40 years after the original one, and so maybe it's your own totally original story set in that world, but that old one still did happen, so if you watch that one, you'll still get a little bit more out of this one. I really like that the most.
I agree with that. And
with that, let's call it a day for this one.
All right. Remember, we always say, Shtajio ga daiji.
Shtajio ga daiji. See you next time, guys.